Welcome to the Be That Healing Girl podcast. And on this episode, we're going to talk about needing constant reassurance in relationship. So, I want to be really clear who this episode is for. And in general, this is really who my content is for and who I love speaking to. And so this is for the girly who knows that maybe you are the drama, question mark, like you kind of are aware of that. And here's also another indicator of if you're in the right place. You are needing this constant reassurance, but in reality, you're with a good person, right? Like in your heart, in your mind, you know that this person, your person, is good. All right. They are checking the boxes. They are showing up for you. And it what might be kind of a contrast is that they're not showing up exactly the way you want, but in all intents and purposes, they're great. They're doing it. So this is really who I love speaking to, and that's really who I make content for. So just to be really clear, if you're in that kind of boat where you're feeling like you need constant reassurance and they're giving you a reassurance, but somehow it's still not adding up, then honey, I've got you. And just a reminder, if you are a girly who is, again, an overachiever, you're a little, a little type A, you are a perfectionist or recovering perfectionist, and you are again succeeding in areas of your life like your family, your work, just all over the place, but you are sucking at your relationship, then you're in the right place, honey. And if you're new here, my name is Claire. Hi. And I love helping overachieving girlies who are sucking at their relationships succeed in love. And I love all of you. I'm excited. And let's dive into this whole constant reassurance thing. So I just want to tell you, because I get this a lot in my content and my comments, but I can guarantee some form of this is happening for you. Now, I would be with my husband, and honestly, this is not just with him when we started dating, but with other people. I would be with them or just be in a relationship with them, and they'd do something sweet, they do something kind, we'd spend time together, and then that would be good in the moment. And could be 2 minutes later, 2 hours later, 2 days later, 2 weeks later. It didn't really matter, but it was like the clock ran out. We're back at zero. Literally, it would feel like I was back at zero, like it never existed, it never happened. So if that has happened to you, then send me a DM, because I'm gonna bet some it's a good possibility that some, if not all of you, feel like that. Like you just got the reassurance. He just told you he loved you, how into you he is, how great things are, and then the weekend's over, you come back from the trip, whatever, the date's over, and you're like, freaking out inside. And if that is you, then like, honey, we're in the right place. Because one thing that I started to understand in my healing journey, it's what I teach my clients in the confidence code and in one-on-one coaching, but the constant reassurance has nothing, this is going to be mind-blowing for some of you, has nothing to do with the other person. This is why it keeps popping up again and again. It actually has nothing to do with them and what they're doing, and everything to do with your own ability to self-regulate, to self-soothe, and to understand why this keeps repeating. Because the constant reassurance, and PS, this used to happen to me a lot, like especially with my husband. We would be doing great. We'd be great for like a week, 2 weeks, and then boom, Monday hits, we are fighting. It's the fight, it's on, right? I couldn't hold it anymore, and I just had to let it out. And so that is a pattern. And there's many other patterns that I learned that I was in myself, in my relationship, but this needing constant reassurance is a pattern. And this is also why you logically in your mind are like, okay, well, he just told me, like we just went on this amazing trip together, but somehow do I feel like the clock has run down to zero? I keep thinking this, I'm going to tell more about myself, but Like when Taylor Swift, those of you who just don't like that, please don't yuck my yum. But she has a countdown, like the timer goes down, and it's like so exciting, except the timer when it came to Reassurance was like horrible. It just was not a good experience. But that's a pattern. And when I started noticing, okay, like this is happening basically every other week or 2 weeks, and I just can't understand what's going on. It's because this is a deep subconscious pattern. And again, this has nothing to do with the person. So I see this with my clients. Literally, one of my clients, both two of my clients, recently, just this last week, one of them was like, oh my gosh, he has never made the plans. And I can't believe so the story is she was actually a little jealous because he went to go get a massage. And in her mind, she's like, well, good for you. Hope that massage was great. And but she learned, she was self-regulating. We did some tools together. She was applying them, and the next day or 2 days later, he's like, "Oh my gosh, that massage so great!" And I actually went there because I wanted to make sure, this is the kicker, it was good enough for you. Oh, like what? Squeal? So, in breaking her own internal pattern, the external changed. Okay. So, this is just an example of how when we change what's going on in the inside, the constant reassurance has nothing to do with the other person. It has everything to do with our own inner world. Second example, a client of mine, she's long distance with her boyfriend. They're doing great. He's in medical school. And basically, they've been having issues with communication, and she's been worrying. And literally within 2 weeks of us working together, she started self-soothing, self-regulating, started thinking and feeling different because of the strategy that I taught her. And out of the blue, he calls her. Now, I know that sounds strange, but for her, she was taking up a lot of the space. She was the one initiating, she was the one calling, she was the one making the plans. And through understanding how her subconscious was working, how to start to reprogram her thoughts and her feelings, boom. Literally in 2 weeks, like things are changing because no longer is she doing the one seeking, he's actually the one moving towards her. And so here's the thing, and I know this sounds so strange, but the constant reassurance, that's not what's going on. When you start to change your own inner working, when you start to look at how you're subconsciously self-sabotaging yourself, how you're self-sabotaging that connection, when you start changing internally, your outer world reflects that. That's the thing. Here's another example of why and how this works. So I saw this recently, people who are on The Biggest Loser, it was something like 80% of them. Actually, I think that's wrong. I will probably look this up and fix this on my social media somewhere. But one person out of all the contestants of The Biggest Loser, one person has maintained the weight loss. I am not surprised. If you can see my expression, like, duh, because they're in this major boot camp, they're doing these things, but they're not changing the deep subconscious patterns that got them overweight in the first place. So this is why they would run and Jillian Michaels is yelling at them and they're doing this restrictive diet. And at the end of the day, one person was actually able to change. This is why you getting the constant reassurance, you having them tell you every day, text me in the morning, text me at night, and somehow you still don't feel great, or you just went on the great trip and somehow you feel like crap and you're worried when the next time you're going to see them is, it's because it has the constant reassurance has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with your own inner workings. Okay. So that's my insight on what's going on with needing constant reassurance. And I actually want to hit the mailbox because I love getting inspiration for these podcasts. I mean, a lot of them I like to riff. So if you want to send in a question, make sure you're on the email list. I'll put the journal prompts below in the links. So, how to get on the email list is by joining and getting the journal prompts, which are super dope anyway. You want the journal prompts, they're so good. I use them myself regularly. So, get the journal prompts, get on the email list, and send me an email. Send me an email with your question, and I will do my best to get to the mailbag. All right. So I loved this question and I had to share it. So, this is from Vita, how did you decipher that your husband was not only a good guy, but that he was your guy? How do you work through that anxiety and trusting yourself that you'd know if he wasn't your person, like some of the exes you mentioned? Okay. So I'm going to be a little controversial and I don't care because this is what I believe and what I've seen. I know for a fact that I've messed some good relationships up and with great guys. And I can also say that at the phase of life that I was in, they probably were a great fit. They were a great match. But here's the misunderstanding I think that goes around with your person, your person. And my husband is my person, but he's my person because I choose him every frickin' day. All right? I wake up and I say, God damn, this man is so willing. He is so heartful. He's working. He's showing up for me. He's showing up for himself. I wake up consciously, not because I have a ring, but I wake up every morning and I choose him and he chooses me. And I really believe this thought that there's only one person for us. Like, that is just scarcity and marketing and just yuck. That's not how it is. Because like I'm sure, I'm gonna just throw this out there. A percentage of you have met somebody when you were younger, when you were 20 or 19, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is my person. And look where they are now. Look where that person is. You know what I mean? Like, we are constantly evolving and growing. And I mean, I can look back at that person that I thought at 21, like cringe, 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 cringe. And I would have sold my soul at that moment when I was 20 something that this was my person. And so a lot of times we get caught up and, ooh, did I make a mistake? And, oh, what if not? That's not what's happening. The past is a history and the future is a fantasy. I'll say that again, write it down. The past is a history. It's done. We can't change it. The future is a fantasy. What matters is right now. That's why I consciously wake up every day, present moment. I say, I choose him. I choose him, and that's my choice. Your choice is what makes it your person. Because I'll also hit you with this. There is somebody more handsome with a six pack, more hair, big old swinging eggplant, eggplant emoji. And that's true. There is somebody out there that probably has all those things and more, but are you going to spend your time looking for that person when when a great person right there is in front of you? So you can live in the land of what if in the past or in the future, but who's in front of you right now? Just ask yourself, who are you willing to see in front of you right now? Because there will always be somebody better, period. Like, that's true. But are you going to spend your time looking for them and not being with that person? Now, I'm going to hit you in the mouth with this. All right. How would you feel if the person you were with right now was like, man, I think there's something better? Just saying. Just saying. Ouch. Right? So, this is what I say in my content all the freaking time. You have to be that energy. If you're getting uncertainty from them or you're feeling uncertainty, how certain are you? How clear are you? I don't know if you can feel it for me, but I can feel this in myself. I am crystal clear that I choose my husband right now in this moment, and I will keep choosing him. All right. So that's how I know he's my person, because I make the choice. So that's the mailbag. If you want to give me a question, you have a situation, maybe we'll call it the situation room. That sounds fun too. Feel free to send them in. Again, do it by getting on the mailing list, get the journal prompts, send your situation in. I hope this episode on needing constant reassurance helps you. I feel like the mailbag was kind of in alignment with that. So I'm thinking about you. I love you. Mwah.